Welcome back to the Unfiltered by Jade. This Tuesday we have someone is a good friend of mine, very, very good friend of mine. His name is Mr. Russell Stewart. And today we're going to speak about leave or cleave during COVID. Should we stay or should we divorce each other? We want to know because this pandemic has caused so many different pandemic in itself. Whereas persons now have realized that listen, I can't bother with a person now during this time because we have been locked up with these persons for so long. It has been about 5,000 years now since we have been locked up, and we want to address this. So, Mr. Stewart,
Yes.
hi,
Hello, good night.
good night. Good night. It's so good to have you on this podcast today. Just introduce yourself to the persons, please.
Well, yes, first and foremost, I just want to tell you thanks for the invite. Actually, it's my first interview of any kind in terms of podcast. Yes, so, this is what we call, and I quote, virgin territory. And I use that, I use that intensively. But yes, for your listeners, as you have said already, my name is Russell Stewart. I am an attorney at law, and I've been practicing for 3 years plus months. And December coming up this year, we'll make it 4 years I've been practicing. So that's pretty much I'll be giving your listeners at this point in time.
Okay, sir. We're gonna jump right in. How has the pandemic affected your job?
Well, to be honest, it hasn't really affected me
Mm-hmm.
because my practice is more than just criminal law. It
Okay.
also expands into other areas of law, such as conveyancing, what other people call real estate, divorce, yes, family law,
Mhm.
and
Okay.
civil, and I'm touching into shipping eventually. So, in one aspect where there are criminal law matters, it has affected us
Okay.
because we couldn't go into court at one point in time. But now the COVID restrictions have eased, and we realize that the courts have now relaxed their positions, and so we're now back in court. And funny enough, the more we're in court, some of us reminisce about the days we were back at home. So yes, but it's going good. It's going good. Can't complain. So we thank God for that.
Okay. Here. Is it really cheap? Is it cheaper to keep her or him or not? Let's just jump right into it.
Well, is it cheaper to keep your partner or not? Well, let me just confine the response. Are you talking about like in COVID time or like just generally speaking?
Is that someone wants to divorce and is thinking about it?
Oh boy.
After they think about the divorcing.
Okay, all right. Let me just put it out there. Um, it it may very well be depending on your fiscal stance or your assets as it is right now. It may be in one instance cheaper, or it may be for another couple more expensive. It depends also before your financial realities, because fact of the matter is, and I wish not to offend anyone, if you have little to nothing in terms of assets,
Mm.
right? Um,
Right?
you don't stand much to lose or gain versus an
Mm.
couple that has a plethora of assets at their disposal. And assets is not just limited to your liquid cash, but also your stocks and bonds. And for some who believes houses are an asset, well, it's really a liability. But that's also another thing as well, because in Jamaica there is division of the family home in terms of who should retain the family home versus, if the family home is retained, the judge, an application can be made by either parties for a judge to determine if it should be a 50-50 split or or 50-40, depends on the
Mm-hmm.
contribution which is made. So you realize that you may very well buy out your other your husband's or your wife's share in the family
Mm.
matrimonial home, and that property might value 10 million, 15 million, 30 million. And if you don't have that fiscal or that liquid cash, you may very well stand to face the last resort, which is putting up the property on the open market for another individual now, John Doe, to purchase their property.
Mm.
And if it is mortgage, the mortgage institution will definitely get their money first, and then you really get the
Okay.
what left. So to answer your
So
question,
the two persons split it up.
yes, 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 yes,
Okay.
yes. So it's really a so it and it comes down to also an agreement between the parties, because husband and wife can
If they
mutually
can
agree.
agree,
Pardon?
if they can agree.
Yeah, I said it comes down to the agreement between the parties as well, because they can divorce and husband can say to wife, look, you keep the matrimonial home, but the home, for example, well, in Jamaica, I know you have different parishes. So for our listeners who are familiar with the local of Jamaica, you have, some parishes which are, on the north coast, and so let's say you have a vacation home. So the husband can say, look,
Mm-hmm.
you keep the property, the matrimonial property, which is where we live every single day of our lives. But I want
Okay.
the property that we usually take our vacation at Ocho or Sarmo Bay. So for your listeners who are in the States, think about an upscale community where perhaps
Mm-hmm.
that property is like the vacation property, and the other family home is where all the utilities come to, all correspondences will come to, whatever it may be, it will come to that property. So wife could take
Okay.
that property and husband could take the other property, but that's if there is an agreement between
Mm-hmm.
who. If it is contentious, it comes down to submissions which are made before the court, and the judge now will have to decide on who gets what, and also
Mm-hmm.
in what portion. As I said before, a house is really the starting point is really 50-50 as per our Property Rights of Spouses Act. Yes. So
Mm-hmm.
once you're married, from you say your idols, the family home, no matter how young the marriage is, the starting point is 50-50. You own 50%, the other partner owns 50%. However, there is a discretionary aspect of the act which allows the court to move from that starting point of 50-50, and it can be a 60-40, it can be 70-30, it can even be 90-10. Yes. So it all comes
Mm.
down to the what the statute lays out, which is the duration of the marriage, if there's any children, the financial contribution to the property, whether it be purchasing of the property, or paying of the mortgage, or paying of utilities, because the law recognizes that not every relationship will have the same fiscal resources that's available, right? So
Right.
therefore, the wife might very well be the stay-at-home wife, but guess what? She takes care of the children. She keeps the house in good condition. When I
Mm.
say good condition, I don't mean like just cleaning alone, but I mean like
Right.
she gets the groceries, she picks up the children, she
Pay the
just
bills.
plays her part in maintaining the household. So the court
Mm-hmm.
looks on those what we call non-fiscal contributions, or those intangibles or tangible contribution, which doesn't have to be necessarily dollars and cents.
Right.
hmm Um,
Right.
but so on a final point though, regarding the individuals who don't have that much money to spend, in terms of, is it cheaper or more expensive? Um, if you don't have that much assets floating around in the marriage, really and truly, you're spending less money. The only thing you're looking at is perhaps the legal fees. However, in Jamaica, there are institutions which are available, which give these individuals who don't have that much money legal services and representation for divorces, and these are what you call like legal aid institutions, right? And the legal
Mm-hmm.
fees, if any, are significantly subsidized, significantly. So,
Mm.
so in one aspect, it is cheaper, and another aspect, it's more expensive.
But
Depends on which side of the
it
coin.
take longer. It takes longer to settle
In terms of
the legal aid, when legal aid
all
route.
right,
It takes
you know
longer to
what? To be frank with you, yes, there have been complaints in terms of the turnaround time when you do go through the legal aid, and I
settle.
have never been privy to those files because I don't work at these legal aid institutions. However,
Right.
to be fair though, the the delays that many parties face in divorce is not necessarily based on legal representation or lack thereof. We as lawyers, even as private practitioners, we do
Mm-hmm.
face delays by virtue of the 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 matrimonial registry that we file our divorces. And I can tell you the administrative the administrative drawbacks that we face as attorneys. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
when we get requisitions, it's crazy. And when I say requisition, I mean it's essentially a fancy way of saying your document has been bounced. It's like a bounce check. And some
Mm-hmm.
reasons that you get from the powers that be in these matrimonial registry. Trust me, it boggles your mind, and in some sense, respectfully, it it sometimes defies logic, respectfully, and you will
Okay.
realize that some people have been trying to get divorced for 10 years, and I kid
Oh
you
yeah,
not, for 10 years,
I know.
for 10 years,
I know. But
and it's not
I've
because
I've had
uh-huh.
I've had experience where I've spoken to persons who have gone that route of the legal aid,
Mm-hmm.
and 6 years they're still trying to seek. And I'm saying 6 years, and you're still trying to. Um, they have had complaints about keep on going back to change things on the documents,
Yes,
keep on doing that, and turn over with the persons looking at their file, because there's a huge turnover every minute, because um it's not just one person that's necessarily on the case,
yes.
because of the turnovers that are there. So
Mhm.
it takes a much longer time from one week to the next. By time it's supposed to finish, you even forget, say you're probably supposed to be divorced.
I sometimes quip to my colleagues at the private bar that, and I say this with utmost respect to the staff at the matrimonial registry, that sometimes I think the delays are provided to keep the people from getting divorced. I think
From getting divorced. Uh-huh.
I
Uh-huh.
really think
It's just
that's a subtle
it's just a next it's just a next means of saying work together.
work it out, work it out.
Just
Don't
see if
bother
we
the
can work it
divorce. Let's
out.
work it
Work
out.
it out.
But no, I really think so sometimes, man. And I say with utmost respect because the staff is overwhelmed. The staff they're under resourced in terms of human capital, and
Mm-hmm.
and I alluded to the fact that it's not necessarily a legal aid thing because us as private practitioners we face the same delays. And I tell you the truth, there are administrative errors in this department that set you back 3 4 months. I
My
kid you not.
God.
And when this period has expired, you realize you have to file additional documents to 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 essentially be in line with protocol then. So it's not necessarily that you the lawyer by filing an additional document have made a mistake. It's just that by virtue of
Mm-hmm.
their error, their administrative error, their oversight, it has cost
Mm-hmm.
you 4 months that certain documents, for example, in our jurisdiction, we have to file what is called an affidavit of search. Essentially, that
Okay.
document is to indicate to the powers that be, to the judge, that we have searched through the court's books, to
Mm-hmm.
the court's database, and we have
Mm-hmm.
found no challenge or response by the other party to this
Mm-hmm.
divorce. That has a
Mm-hmm.
life of 3 months, 90 days essentially. And as I said
My
before,
God.
some administrative errors at the matrimonial registry set you back some 4 months, because when you file certain documents at the matrimonial registry, it's not checked off same time, and it's not checked off within 2 weeks. Some documents when you may file in January and you get a notification that it has bounced in March, April, and when
No, but it's madness. That is all madness.
exactly. And when you get this notification in, let us say, for instance, April, that 3 month would have, that 3 month life of that particular document would have passed. So guess what now? You as the
You have to do it
attorney
all over.
now have to file the same
Jesus.
document that you would have filed in January to now remedy that 3 to 4 month gap, that delay.
I got to, but this is not okay.
To be honest, the Chief Justice is aware of it and he is trying to fix it. He's doing his utmost best. There have been success stories at the matrimonial division. I must admit that I have had my success stories, but I've also had my many complaints, because the fact of the matter is, and it's very sad, but the fact of the matter is, the homicide level in Jamaica, I believe, and I say this without doubt, really, is in competition with the amount of divorce files at the matrimonial registry right now. So
Wow, what is that?
yeah, so if you do the math, you have probably no more than 10, probably no more than 10 people on the front lines in the matrimonial division. And if you have over probably 1,000 um, you know, divorce files being filed in 1 year, you understand how slow things can get over a period of time, because really and truly you only have 2 hands, 2 feet, one brain, and
In a year or probably in a month? Because if 1,000 people
well,
are sending in their applications for the month,
I'm not saying for the month, but perhaps I wouldn't be surprised if more than 5 divorce claims are being filed per day, and there's what no, in terms of a working, there are 5 working days, so that's on average 20 to 25 working days for a month, if it's a 5 week month or a 4 week month. So that's probably, a decent amount of claims being filed, and that is just for that particular day or month. We're not talking about the previous months or the previous year, which
prior
is
to.
still not completed as yet. So there's a backlog. The aim,
Mm.
however, is to complete these divorce proceedings in 16 weeks. But as I said before, there are people out there for 10 years, 6 years, 5 years,
Oh yeah.
3 years. So
Oh yeah.
I don't know.
No?
So
Why? Why?
perhaps it's better to just remain married.
Why? Why it is I ask? Because I know. overseas,
Mhm.
I've heard many persons talk about the divorcing and they're saying, boy, better you keep her because when they're getting divorced over here, which is overseas,
Mhm.
I've heard persons talk about their pension has to be split.
Okay.
I've heard persons speak about the different things that has to be split, whether it is that they bought the house prior, whether it is that they have this land or what cars that they bought, whatever.
Yes,
And by the time you look at it, most times that you look at it overseas, I realize the woman gets a lot.
she does.
The woman gets a
And to
lot.
be honest, rightly so. And I know that this probably is a gasp for your male listeners, but rightly so. Um, because if you do not take it upon yourself, yes, to sign and execute what we call a prenuptial agreement, prenup for short,
Lord Jesus.
right? Then
Mm-hmm.
you have exposed yourself. You being a man or a woman, because it goes both ways, but you individually have exposed yourself to a 50% loss of all of your earnings and assets. Drawing,
Mm.
drawing, let me just say that though. Drawing the life of the marriage.
Mm-hmm.
During the life of the marriage. Anything that is acquired before the idols, that is presumably that of the spouse, or rather of the partner before.
No, that not happen up here, sir.
Okay. Well,
Mm.
that should be challenged because, for example, if the only way, for example, in Jamaica, let us say Janet and Michael got married, and
Mm-hmm.
before Janet and Michael got married, Janet owned a home. Michael said,
Mm-hmm.
well, guess what? I won't buy another house because your house is sufficient, and we can make a family here. It's comfortable for us.
Right.
Already purchased this house from before, so technically it's her house. However,
Right.
by virtue of them getting married and they are now living there, so light bill comes, gas bill comes, um, all correspondences relating to this couple comes to this house. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
that is what we call in law the matrimonial home, the family home.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if Janet and Michael divorces, although Janet had this house before she got married to Michael, by virtue of them cohabiting and treating this house as their own, and there was no
Hmm.
prenuptial agreement, yes, that house now can be split down the middle,
Belongs to.
yes, but
It's
there's
split
no.
right down in the middle.
It can be split right down the middle, subject to, of course, as I said before, the discretionary factors, which might bring it to 60-40, 70-30, 90-10, right? But the rebuttable presumption is 50-50. However, let us say that in Jamaica, there are real estate transactions which come under the category of being a gift. Yes? So
Oh.
they let us say that the wife of the well, sorry, the mother of the husband as a gift to her son being married, or probably could say a gift to the married couple, but she gifted her son a house in a luxury upstate, a luxurious house in an upscale neighborhood. So they in
Right.
Jamaica, the transfer of land document will say conveyance by way of gift. That is very
Oh.
important. So in law, even though, so when when the husband's name is on title now, yes, and it's very important that his name alone is on title, you know. When his name is on
Mm.
title and it says by way of gift, even though they have been living there for 20 years as man and wife, when if regrettably they divorce, the law says that the property is not subjected to the provisions of the Property Rights and Spouses Act, PROSA, because it is by virtue of gift. It was not acquired by
Mm.
both husband and wife during
Mm.
the tenure of the marriage as a couple. It was gifted. So
Okay.
that is a distinction. But you're saying in America that doesn't count. Also, out here as well, there are applications which can be made within a 12-month period after divorce or during divorce. Well, after divorce is a 12-month period, but it can be made anytime during divorce, which
Okay.
is maintenance, essentially. Maintenance not only for the
Mm.
children, but maintenance for the partner. And this can be done by either husband or wife. It doesn't matter the gender.
Okay. Okay.
So,
And this is alimony.
uh, alimony, yes. Yes, it
Okay.
can be alimony. They're different. You have alimony, you have lump sum, and you have, I believe, I do not want to steer your listeners wrong. I believe there's a there's a lump sum, and I believe there's kind of like how to put it now, uh, like a fixed amount per month. But this is on the basis that the other partner does not remarry.
Oh, what y'all said to me?
Yes,
Explain that one then. So you're telling me that
it's a
I
possibility.
will be I will be getting a fixated amount of money every month. Let's just call it every month.
Mhm.
And I can only get it if I don't remarry.
Yes,
So then I still have your work sense to divorce them for then. If I can't move on,
you know,
why?
and
Why?
that's a conversation my colleagues had because we are seeing. Well, to be fair, it was a discussion among my male colleagues. so let me just get that out of the way. Yes, we were just basically saying that this aspect of it is essentially a slap in the face to the person who is actually mandated to pay. Because
Exactly.
if the woman is paying the man money and she finds a partner, right? She move on, get married, but the other man decides that look here, I like this money I am getting, so whatever girl I have snooping around, I won't put a ring on her finger because this X amount of money I'm getting
That
on
is madness.
basis, sustain.
Madness.
Yes, marriage is a serious thing. It's a very serious thing, and people must not forget this. People who are intending to get married must also think about this aspect, which is not only it's a coming together of two people becoming one if you're of a Christian faith, but also marriage is, no matter where you are in the part of the world, it is a contract.
It is. It
Yes,
is. I believe that.
marriage is a contract. It's a legal act. That is why you
Mm-hmm.
need a marriage officer.
Mm-hmm.
You need a marriage officer, and according to Jamaican law, you need to have at minimum two witnesses. Two witnesses. And these two witnesses can't be blind and deaf.
Jesus.
Right? So don't go around the system and try, and get two people whose senses aren't, acting up, whose senses aren't at optimum. You need two functioning witnesses who can see and hear and comprehend what is going on. Yes,
The blows
apart
and
from the
fingers.
age requirement, it can't happen after 6 o'clock. It must happen between a certain hour. So marriage is a serious thing. It's not a loose act.
It,
It is governed by
it's not no
law.
play thing.
It's not a
It's not no
play thing.
play thing. And the truth is, the truth is it's easier to get married than to get divorced.
Yes, yes, because people fall in love for various reasons. But boy, when the honeymoon period dies down, you realize that my gosh, which is going on right now
Mm-hmm.
in COVID.
And I want to get you to that. What I want to know is who normally calls first for a divorce, the male or the female?
Well, for my practice, predominantly women, the wives call. There are I know of two men, two husbands that meet and talk with me. Everybody else
Okay.
is a wife, you know.
Mm.
Yeah. The wives are the ones that for me
The woman they want to come outside.
want to come out. And this is general. I'm not talking
They
about
want
COVID times doing. I'm just talking about generally.
generally, right. Normally it's the woman that will call. I don't think men normally call for things like that because sometimes, the men don't necessarily want the divorce.
Yeah.
Or I don't know what it is. But they're not the one to normally want to end something like that. It's more like, well, the woman, if you want it, you go do it.
Yes, that
Men
is
don't. I don't
usually
think
the
men
disposition.
generally get up and do it because the thing is, men don't. I don't even know. I don't even know how to describe it. Men just don't leave a marriage until it is it them the upon him next one leave. Have to leave.
Yeah,
And
I do find that when husbands make the call, it is very serious. I'm
yes,
not saying
that's
that when
what I've come to realize.
yeah, I'm not saying when wives call it's a light matter because women, and it's not been a matter of being sexist, it's just my observation. Wives
Mm-hmm.
tend to have what a pastor would call a fruit of the spirit, long suffering.
Yeah,
So
man.
so wives tend to be, in my observation, my practice, tend to be very patient, very understanding, and then after a period of time, the chips tend
It will
to fall. They wear off. Um,
fall where it is. Mm-hmm.
but men, they are not necessarily the long suffering type, the husbands, but it in terms of the 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 quality, or well, I won't say quality, the severity then, the severity of the
Mm-hmm.
cause, which would make them want to divorce, albeit
Right.
not over a 5 year period, probably over a 2 year period or a 1 year period. The severity of it is very, very, very high. For them
And
to make that call.
to want to do that. Why I
Mhm,
said that too is because I used to work at a counseling center,
mhm.
and I realized that, well, more than one counseling firms I've worked at before. And I realized that men started calling, and when men call, it is because, listen, them wife is about to leave. She pack up her thing and she's about to walk through that door, or them come home and them doors to them wife and them call, look, I need counseling. So I think also men wait until the last minute to realize that something is going wrong and then want to try and save it. While a woman will be there waiting
I,
and she'll just try and she'll there try. But when a woman reaches that point, she just cut and gone.
yeah,
And she just say, listen, this is the end of it. While a man will wait and wait and wait and wait and no, let me just say, let me see what is gonna happen. And then when them realize it all comes down to this, that is when they call because it has gotten serious now because they probably never know that the woman would have left or they never know so she really want a divorce or. So I want to know
Mhm.
if it is, how do you find couples during this pandemic? Because we're talking about that before. Do you realize that? Or have persons called to say, listen, during these times of locking up with this person, me not think me can, me not think me like that person very much. I don't want to continue.
I have had one one instance
Mm.
about that. I've also had another call, but based on the consultation I've had with that client, it wasn't, arising from COVID. But one call, definitely, one prospective client called, and the client relayed that the partner was pretty much having a love square, not a love triangle, a love
But yes,
square.
sir.
And
Mm-hmm.
one of the what I want to call this now, one of the angles of that square, or what if you want to call it, the breadth or the width of the square, was also
Automatic.
I gotta keep it mathematical. Yeah, one aspect of that square was also married.
Ooh.
Yeah, so it's not like, you know,
Ooh.
the cheating partner was having episodes with single individuals, but a part of the mixture was also another married individual. And
Wow.
that was because of COVID. As a consequence of being under the lockdown, observations were made. There was a change in pattern of behavior. Certain
Mm.
things could not be as discreet as they were once. And
Ah.
you realize the the prospective client was now enlightened to what was really going on. Regrettably,
Sometime we need one of these pandemic to show us things, you know.
well, I can be honest with you. This COVID, as I said, has certainly shaken up things around the world, definitely. But in terms of marriage, I am only privy to one instant, as I said, that one prospective client. But
Right.
I have also read that in China there has been an upsurge in,
Right. I've read that too.
right?
In divorce cases. Mm-hmm.
So it shows you that, boy, perhaps the person who you thought you married,
It's
um,
not the person.
yeah, it's probably not that person. Or over a period of time, the reason why there is this meme that, and I hope your listeners are engaged with these things. That, there's this meme or meme, if you want to pronounce it like that. There's that says to the ladies, that excuse that your husband said that he was working late at night. Hope
Oh
you're
yes, I think I
observing.
saw it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the change in behavior, the inadvertent change of behavior, actually, because of COVID, there has been curfews, among other things. You have to reach home early.
Right.
You can't stay out late, and if you're staying out late when there's a curfew, what that's supposed to mean? So, there are some smoking
Mm-hmm.
guns.
Are there essential workings happening up, you know?
Yeah, well,
And even for
it's
essential
funny,
workers, they have to be home at a particular time.
but it's funny you say that, because what excuse, well, you know what? I'll not use excuse, but what reason can you provide to your partner when everybody in the household know the kind of work that you do does not fall under the essential category, and you're reaching home late,
Mm-hmm.
and you're dry.
Mm. You know,
Yeah.
you say that people come up with a whole heap of things. Listen, people come up with a whole heap of things. In fact, they were having some discussions about no, you have to go tell the person who you are cheating with that look here, this is not an essential service. So I'm gonna have to go back home and we have to go rekindle that next time. But before we even continue, I'm gonna take a short break and let's go right back.
Okay.
Shopping Assistance Jamaica takes the stress away from finding those items you can't locate or purchasing items online or locally. From searching to purchasing to delivery, Shopping Assistance makes it very easy. Contact us at 876-919-5195 or email us at shoppingassistance2015@gmail.com. Find us on Facebook at The Shopping Assistants, on Instagram at The Shopping Assistants JA, and on Twitter at Shopping Assist 5.
Welcome back to the Unfiltered by Jade. We're speaking with Mr. Russell Stewart, and we're speaking about the turn or the change that COVID had made in terms of spouse, and if people realize that look, they don't want to be with the spouse anymore, or even things that has unfolded since this entire COVID period. And we're talking about persons that, the divorce rate, if people have realized that, listen, I can't be with you because I've uncovered these things during COVID. This pandemic has actually showed up things because no, Morella, I said, why you did have many persons, you were running a church. This, all you needed to do now is collect some offerings and tithes and everything because you were ministering elsewhere and having essential services elsewhere when you're not supposed to. So we're talking about that with him, but we want to also find out. I don't know if you're privy to this or if you know, but do you know how children are affected during this time? Because apart from even, what is it called? Abuse happening with adults, because you have a lot of physical abuse happening at this time. You have a lot of child abuse happening this time. Have you had any calls or so in regarding to this thing? Because what I'm asking, you are not a counselor, but I want to know if it is that you find yourself doing some counseling sessions during this time or any other time.
No, my clients predominantly are in, they form part of the criminal practice. So usually clients are primarily focused on retaining their liberty. So when we win a case, as far as they're concerned, nothing else matters in life. But regarding, as you said, counseling, no, because the family matters that I do, which are essentially divorce, they are, when I say they, I mean the children, usually remain with the mothers. I rarely find husbands keeping the children. Rarely. Not saying it doesn't happen, but rarely. So therefore, the wives give the appearance that the children are okay, especially when you realize that custody, care, and control, it's not a contentious situation. So co-parenting, you realize that, there's no need for the attorney to play counselor as well. However, I am sure there are colleagues of mine who may very well have to venture down that path, because an attorney is more than just a wordsmith. We play many roles in the lives of our clients, and one of those roles is to be an unqualified counselor, psychiatrist. So we
Mm.
we would I believe it's not far-fetched for me to see my clients, my colleagues rather, having those sessions. But for me though, no, I've never had that opportunity because, as I said before, the children usually remain with the mothers, and I don't engage the children because
Okay.
you don't want to engage the child and it becomes a he said versus, so
Mm.
we just keep
Okay,
it to
okay, okay, I get
themselves.
that. But even for the case of like a divorce, when a wife calls you and she probably crying
Mm-hmm.
or something,
Mm-hmm.
so she's signing the papers and the memories come back and she start crying. Have you had any? You have to sit down and say, "Oh,
Yes,
well,
yes, emphatically, yes. In fact, my first call to action, and it might shock a lot of people, being, a quote unquote divorce attorney as well, is to really ask my client, whether it be husband or wife, if they're really certain that they want to divorce their partner and end their marriage. Mark you, once you leave your house or leave your place of business or wherever you live and you make your way to my office, that shows your intention to divorce and terminate that marriage. But
right,
I still believe, as attorneys, and especially being human beings in this global village, especially if you respect the institution of marriage. It's not about making money at the expense
right,
of two individuals, especially if there are children involved. I
right.
certainly have that session where,
Okay,
before money is even exchanged, I ask, I delve into the issues, and I would often say, look, what you're saying to me, I understand you're hurt, and I understand that you're upset, and in if rightly so, depending on what they're saying to me. But I always tell my clients, whether it be husband or wife, that look, if there's any way that you and husband or you and wife can work it out, trust me, before you spend $1 with me, I advise you to go back, work it out. And you have counseling sessions, because at the end of the day, divorce, as although it happens too much, um too frequently, if you ask me, in spite of
right.
the numbers and the statistics, people don't want to get, trust me,
No, they don't.
people don't want to get divorced. People
Mm-hmm.
want to remain married. People want to remain married to their partners, to their spouses, and um the wives, they're not happy about it. Some cry, some are stronger than others emotionally. But at the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
you know, they want to really work it out. Even in my office, wives are complaining, if the hus- if the if, well, in Jamaica, no, what? Let me keep it in Queen's English. If the husband just did this, or if the wife
Uh-huh.
only
Yeah,
did that, you know,
right.
they wouldn't be where they are, because I'd often ask, okay, apart from coming to me, especially to the wives, I would say, have you tried counseling? And they would say, look here,
Counseling.
man, I go pastor, I went to, I go to this counselor, I go to here, I saw the intervention of friends. Yes. So, yeah, I mean, in some cases, they have exhausted all of their channels, right? And
Right.
like they just have to throw up their hands in the air and just be like, well, I have tried.
Call it a day.
hmm
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I do find myself playing shrink and counseling, and you have to be cognizant that children are involved in some cases, and you want to know,
Mm-hmm.
how does it affect the child, if it affects the child in any way. I mean, there's nothing I can do about it, but I just want to show some support to the client. So, in some instances, the children are doing okay. If there's, some structure in the child life, especially there's good co-parenting. Uh,
Right.
and in others, I mean, one child might favor a parent over the other. So, of course, there is some sadness, especially if it's contentious,
Mm-hmm.
where, father is saying, I want the child, or the mother is saying, no, I want the child, but they can only see the child on weekends or on holidays. And, well, you know, so
Mm.
it varies, but the counseling session,
Have you?
mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you can continue, I'm here now.
All right. The last question I have for you is: have you ever experienced a situation that by the time you reach the middle
Mm-hmm.
of the divorce for it to happen, has anybody uh, asked you to just probably stop? They want to see if they can work it out back again with their spouse.
No, the law provides for it
Okay.
though. In Japan,
Mm.
there are two documents which the courts issue. The first of two documents is the decree nisi, which I really call the halfway stage. The decree
Okay.
nisi essentially is a document which indicates to the parties that, look, after this, well, at this stage, we are halfway terminating our marriage. The court gives you 6 weeks, 6 weeks to think about what you want to do, if you wish to continue or if you wish to pause. And I say pause, I really mean stop, because you really can't pause the divorce proceedings. Either you continue
Hmm.
or
Or you stop.
terminate it. Yes? So the court gives you 6 weeks. After 6 weeks, the attorney must now apply for what is called a decree absolute. Now, as the name
Okay.
suggests, absolute means it's absolutely done. It's a decree, it's an
Mm.
order by the court that states that this marriage, this union, which happened
It's
on
dissolved.
X place at X time by X marriage officer between these two individuals, is officially terminated, officially dissolved. So if these two people, after the decree absolute, wishes to get married, they have to remarry, versus if they terminated the proceedings in the 6 week interlude, they don't have to
Mm-hmm.
remarry. They are no longer separated. They are now just married. They still
Right.
retain the status of being married. So
Right.
I have never experienced that. I believe I have heard a story where, the parties decide that, boy, we're not continuing with this anymore. So congratulations to that couple, but I've never experienced that.
I think I've heard of persons that after they have gotten divorced, probably a year or two later they remarried.
You know,
Um.
I heard of that as well, a pastor on TV, and actually I was told um he his wife divorced him, and you know after she told after he was made aware of the reasons why, typical reason of you paying too much attention to the church and not too much attention to your wife and your family. Afterwards, they remarried, and they were married for several years now, well over a decade or 2 decades, and they remarried. So yeah, it happens, man.
I mean, sometimes people just need the time away from each other, but brother, I'm not spending that amount of money to go back again. It's just not happening. I think once a man is made up to divorce,
Mm-hmm.
anything can work. Everybody's different. Everybody's different. Sometimes people realize that, look, I can't do without the person.
Uh-huh.
Um, or I want to give it a second try or something. But I mean, I don't know. What is it that you have to tell the public about this divorcing and how to stay together during this whole pandemic, and how to not, you know what? Because okay, may I divert business from you, but how to not go down the path of divorce.
Good business too. But what my little word of advice from in the capacity as an attorney to the public, to your listeners, is if you're not married, before you get married, be comfortable in whom you're dedicating the rest of your life to.
Mm-hmm.
And if you wish to draft and sign a prenuptial agreement, that is your discretion. Do not let anyone guilt trip you in doing that, because at the
Okay.
end of the day, people don't get married to divorce. However, the numbers speak for themselves. It happens. And you
Okay.
don't want, at the end of the day, if you have things to lose, you lose them when you really could retain. Yes? The other aspect is for those who are married, my simple advice as an attorney to you is, if you do not have to get a divorce, don't do it. Because at the end of the day, a lot of things are lost. And it's not just your tangibles, your intangibles are also lost. The love of your life is lost. Yes, the intimate is lost. These are the things you can't purchase in an Apple Play Store or a Google Play Store. Yes, not an. So, and the other thing is, as cliche as it might sound, the kids. Children are affected by divorce in one way or the other. And
Right.
if you don't have to put your children through it, no matter what age, you don't do it. However, at the same time, it is not right for you to remain in a marriage where, if in your opinion as husband and wife, it is untenable. Whatever untenable is to you, that is business. But if it is untenable to you, then seek the services of a competent attorney to see how best you can work it out. If you don't have to divorce, work it out.
And well said, and gave some valuable points. So we've heard from Mr. Russell Stewart on how to go about things, what to do. We seem really pushing this signing of paper enough for this prenup, but we're not saying anything. But I understand. I totally understand where he is with that. As he said, the numbers speak for themselves. So it's not just a word of mouth, but you have the numbers, the statistics to show that what he's saying is actually true. And we're just saying to people, trying to work things out. I mean, everybody changes. You might be in a marriage or relationship for a period of time, and if things change, because I mean, every day you really change. There's things to learn about people. So once it's not abusive, once it's not something detrimental, something that can be worked on. I know everybody have their annoying quirks or whatever, but once it is that you can work on it, it's something that you can say, hey, we're in this, let us sit down and work this out together. We absolutely say go for it and work it out. No matter how long it is, work it out, because at the end of the day, you chose to be with that person.
Indeed. I just want to say, I'm actually taking notes from this, because you made the point about, the whole counseling thing and how men wait until, it's pretty much the point of no return when they make a call about counseling. And that's pretty much talking to me as well. Sometimes I'm a bit laid back in that department. And so if my significant other is out there listening, don't listen to that part. Oh gosh.
I'm just happy how honest you are with this, and telling the people that this is reality. This is the reality of the situation.
Yes.
And we just have to come to face with what it is. But I just believe it is better. I don't wish divorce on anybody. I've been divorced. I don't wish it on anybody at all. It's not a pretty thing. It isn't a pretty thing.
Yeah.
And I would encourage anybody, listen, work it out. If you can work it out, work it out. If you definitely can't, then fine. Cut your losses and try and move on as best as possible without contentions. Because sometimes we hardly have divorce cases. Well, from my point of view or my stance where I've seen it, you hardly have a lot of divorce cases where people are okay and
Mm-hmm.
they're civil.
Mm-hmm.
People cut short and it's some of them are very nasty.
Very,
I must say sometimes it's so very very nasty.
very.
So I mean, the best we can do is to make the best out of this pandemic and don't cause the next pandemic in all of this that is happening.
I like that.
This is 2020.
Too much
This is
pandemic already.
2020. Too many pandemics have been happening, guys. Let us just keep one thing sane. Let's just keep one thing sane, please. I want to thank you again so much also for being on this. You have opened up our eyes. You have showed us many things. You have broken up and dissected and allowed us to understand from your point of view, an attorney's point of view, how things are and whatever happens behind the scenes that people don't know of. I want to thank you so much. You drop whole heap of gems here.
I appreciate the
Yeah,
invite.
I
I
want
really do.
to, I want to tell our listeners thank you so much for listening, and we'll definitely catch you again next week Tuesday on The Unfiltered.